Be the best pictures. Welcome back to another episode of Faith and Fame with Brittney Q. Hill. Joining me today is the beautiful actress and producer Amber-Tai. You may recognize her from the Country Wayne skits, but this woman is so much more. She's beautiful, sexy, and saved. A very special episode of Faith and Fame starts now. Welcome back to another episode of Faith and Fame, where we are bridging the gap between faith and entertainment. I am your host, Brittney Q. Hill, and I'm so excited about today's episode. We are talking about being beautiful, sexy, and saved. But before I introduce this phenomenal, gorgeous woman, I can't wait for y'all to see her, I need y'all to tap in with us. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, lock in. It's more than just a podcast, it's a movement. We are building the kingdom. So without further ado, my girl, actress, producer, podcaster, all the things, beauty. I mean, she's literally stunning. You have to see her in person. The pictures and the videos don't do her justice. But I have Amber-Tai in the building. Thank you for being here, beauty.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. Now we're going to jump right in. I like to actually start off with a icebreaker just to get you a little warmed up because the conversation might get a little spicy. We'll see. What is something people would never guess about you at first glance?
Well, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but toot my age.
Yes, you're going to share it.
Drum roll. Right. I'm 42.
And bad. What's the secret? What's the sauce?
It's my dad.
Your dad?
I get it from my daddy.
Good genes.
Yes, he's 76. Looks like he's 51.
Oh, wow.
I mean, literally, my girlfriends be on my dad. I'm like, ma'am, please.
Wow. I'm going to need to see a picture.
See?
I like him a little seasoned.
Yes, he's seasoned. But he fine.
I love it. Yeah, I definitely need to see daddy. So again, I want to dive into the topic of being beautiful, sexy, and saved. There's this weird idea that women of God cannot be all the things. I feel like he gave us our beauty, so I don't know why there's such a weird stigma against it. So I want to have this conversation with you, just unpacking that all together. But first, one thing that I love about you, I felt I was drawn, our conversation immediately was so authentic. And we have so much in common.
I was telling my friend that I was like, "Oh my! I've never had so much in common with a woman so quickly." Yeah. So,
and it was so organic and flowed. But what I love about you, even just going through your Instagram, you're visibly just stunning. Like, I mean, you can see your beauty a mile away, and I'm not just saying that. But what I love about you even more than your external beauty is that you have a humongous heart for God.
I do.
A tremendous heart for God. And I want to dive into that. So again, we both grew up in the church, both have our stint in ministry, and now we both work in entertainment. And so just navigating both, bringing faith into entertainment, entertainment to faith. So first of all, tell me about growing up as a PK. Preacher's kid.
Ooh, yes, I had an interesting journey. My mother was also a PK, and she married my father, who was a street boy, like completely, totally opposite. Okay. And when he met her, you know, he started going to church. He eventually got saved, and he was interested in someone else. I guess I don't know if it was her friend or another family member. I'm not exactly sure the whole story, but when he started dating my mother, 2 weeks after, he asked her to marry him.
2 weeks?
2 weeks into dating. And so they went to her parents and asked, and they said, you got to wait 2 years.
Wow.
But she was a virgin when she got married. Mm-hmm. The only man she had ever been with. She passed when I was 11. Okay. So she's only 43. But I was always in church. Mm-hmm. And we lived in this big glass house. So everybody was always in our business. Mm-hmm. And my dad, after my mom died, I don't like to tell his story because it's his story to tell. But he did make a grave mistake, I would say. And he had a little boy out of wedlock. After my mother passed away. Mm-hmm. And we lost everything. So I saw two sides of the church. Mm-hmm. I saw the church that, oh my God, the first family can do no wrong. The first family we love and adore and we uplift. Yep. And then as soon as that first family makes a mistake, it's like throw all the stones, take them outside the wall. Wow. Don't let them come back in. Mm-hmm. So I experienced a ton of church hurt. Mm-hmm. And it was different because my church hurt was from my own family. Because my family, they were the people who were running the church.
Yeah.
They were the people who ostracized him and kicked him out. And you know, for a long time, I held a lot of unforgiveness. But, you know, maturing and getting older, you start to understand why people move the way they move.
Yeah.
And what I had to realize is this was their sister. So in their mind, even though my mom has passed on, he's still married in their mind.
Got you.
And he's a pastor, and we came from that apostolic, you know, background. It's like you can't do this or you're going to hell.
Right.
When all y'all at the strip club, stop it, knock it off, okay?
Listen.
So I experienced church hurt on another level, and you know, it was an interesting time. Even though I was 11, I was very aware of my surroundings, and I had a relationship with God. It wasn't just I go to church.
Right.
At a young age, yes, I knew him, and I was angry with him.
Talk about it.
Yeah, I was angry. I said, okay, you said by your stripes we are healed. Why is my mother 6 feet under?
Wow.
Why?
Yeah.
Why is the church acting a dang on fool? Why are they acting worse than the world?
Right.
If we're supposed to be loving each other and love that, why are you treating your own family like this? So it took a lot for me to be like, okay, God has a plan and a rhyme and a reason.
Yep.
And I either trust him or I don't.
Right.
And that didn't come along till later on in life that I was like, okay, God, I trust you.
Yeah.
Because throughout everything I've been through, you have always kept me.
Yes.
You have always provided for me. And I know it was nobody but you.
Come on.
And so that's where I said, okay, let me shift my mindset and understand that people are just people. People are peopling, you know?
Yeah.
So I have forgiven those who have hurt me. And I realized me holding on to that unforgiveness is only hurting me.
Right.
They don't care. They moved on with their lives and
Yeah.
had their families and everything else. And if I'm sitting here still holding on, it's only holding me back.
Yeah.
So yeah, growing up as a pastor's kid was interesting. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for every experience.
Yeah.
And then I'm grateful for my mom because she really was the person who really rooted my love for Christ.
Yes.
She walked the walk. She didn't just talk about
The
it.
real deal.
Yes. At home, I saw it. I walked past her room, see her on her knees.
Got the whole oil.
Listen, speaking in tongues, got her word out. And even when she was sick, I never heard her curse God.
Wow.
I never heard her say, like,
Wow.
why me? Never heard her. It was like, God, whatever.
Your will be done.
She was,
Wow.
yeah. So, you know, I just had to think about that growing up. And I used to ask God, why my mom? But if she didn't say why,
right. And who are we?
Who are we?
Yes. So it's interesting because a lot of PKs typically, not everybody, but typically they go through this season of wilding out. You know what I mean? Did you have that? Did you have that chapters?
And did.
No, but no shame. Why do you think that is?
I think for me, I was so sheltered. It was like
having to be perfect, cannot make a mistake.
Yes, exactly. Couldn't watch rated R movies. Yes, couldn't curse. I couldn't listen to secular music. It was just funny because to this day, I really only listen to praise and worship. Still to this day. Don't take me to the club. I don't know the words.
Look, you and me both. I'll be over there like mumbling like I know something.
Right. I'm like, so my mom instilled that in me. But I think, especially being a girl too, my father had 6 boys and I'm the only girl.
Okay.
So he even more sheltered me. And it was just like, I want to do me. I want to get out here and be fast and do whatever I want to do. So I think that's where it comes from. It's like this high expectation that you try to reach. And once you realize you can't, you just like, forget.
Finally, not having to live under a microscope. I can imagine. What's your relationship like with church now? I mean, you know, it's one thing being molded and growing up in the church, but now as an adult, what does that look like?
So let's see. My young adult years, I stopped going to church for a while. Moved out to California, started going to a church out there, experienced trauma out there at that church. Bless the Lord. We did have that conversation.
And that's another thing we have in common. Both lived in LA for a hot minute before we came here. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And this was a different kind of trauma because I was a participant in that trauma.
Okay.
And But it was, I don't know, going to that church showed me a whole different side of church. Mm-hmm. So the one thing about my father, even though he made his mistakes, he was very much like my mom as well. Yeah. When I was at home, he lived what he preached. Mm-hmm. We prayed together as a family. We listened to our word. We read our word. We did all these things as a family. And I moved to California, got to know another first family, and that wasn't the case. You know, I never heard. I remember one time, my pastor out there, we were having a conversation, and he started cursing, and I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!"
What's going on? Yeah.
And he laughed at me like, "You so green." And I'm like, "No, I just really never heard this language out of a pastor's mouth before, ever in my life. Yeah. Never heard my dad curse. Never heard my grandfather, my uncles, never." Mm-hmm. So that was that for me was like play time. Yeah. I'm like, y'all not serious.
What did that do to you spiritually?
Oh, I was jacked up. Yeah. I had really strayed away from God. Mm. I was going to church every Sunday. Yeah. But I was not living that life whatsoever. Right. And I don't really want to expose that whole situation, but you could read between the lines, maybe not. But I was very close to the inner workings of that church. And I was like, oh, y'all playing. Wow. Y'all playing.
And the sad thing about it is that we're seeing it right now in current real time that a lot of churches, unfortunately, don't really live by what they preach. Don't. And it's sad because it's running people away from the church.
It is. And it ran me away. And I won't put it all on them. I was playing. Right. I was going to church and doing my thing. Mm-hmm. So through that experience, I really left for a long time. So that was around, I must have been about right before I turned 30. So maybe 28 years old. Then from 28 till 41.
Oh, wow. That's a good chunk of time.
Yeah, I didn't really go to church. Wow. I didn't really. I started going to church again in 2022 at the end.
That's pretty recent. Mm-hmm.
And that was because I was dating a pastor. Okay. And so I started.
Ooh, hold on, Amber.
She said, skirt.
Y'all see how she tried to like push past that real quick? That ain't no small feat. You dated a whole are we talking senior pastor?
Oh yeah.
We gotta put a pin in that. I gotta unpack that. Whatever you're willing to share. What was that like? What'd that be like? Like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I dated a pastor, and I thought that I thought possibly this would turn into a marriage. Okay. He had a reputation, but I'm a type of person where I'm like, God shows us grace. Mm-hmm. And who am I not to show somebody else grace? Right. And I said, listen, I'm here to show you grace until you show me otherwise. Yeah. And you show me I got to go. Right. Right. Got to go. Because I'm very intentional about my time. Yeah. I am in my 40s. Mm-hmm. So I don't have time
to waste. Exactly.
And I hate that I wasted the time that I did in my 20s and my 30s with people who I knew were not who God wanted me to be with.
All by itself.
All by itself. We be so desperate for companionship.
So desperate for love, companionship, and this desire to be married.
Yeah.
But we off that. These centering men and getting back to purpose. But back to you.
So that situation quickly showed me that he was not the one. Mm-hmm. And I moved on, and I was not caught up in the title of being first lady and what all that came up with. Right. I got to go. Peace. Like I'm not that girl. I don't want that title just because. Right. Because at the end of the day, I got to go home with you. Mm-hmm. Am I going to be happy in this? Mm-hmm. Are you still going to be out in these streets? Okay. So for me, I'm just like, hey, I love you. God bless you, but gotta go.
Knowing what you know now, would you date a pastor again?
Of course.
Okay.
Absolutely. Listen, if God said he's mine, I don't care. Like, mm-hmm. I would. I love being with a man who knows his word and who honors and respects God.
He washes her with the word.
Listen. Listen. I love that. Yeah. It is like, it's intriguing. Yeah. It is.
It shows who he's submitted to, giving us the ease to submit to them.
Absolutely. Because my thing is, if you don't know who God is, how could you ever know how to treat me?
How you gonna lead me?
Yes, you can't lead me. If you don't know how Christ loved the church, his bride, you can never really honor, respect me, love me, commit to me.
Right.
You won't understand the gravity of that.
Okay, now I gotta unpack that, Amber. Dang, this is good. This is good. Because if you're anything like me, we have a lot in common. We know this, yet sometimes we still go for the men that don't know this. Why do we do that?
So for me, I think I had a savior complex.
Yes, we
And
women think we can save these men.
We do.
Yeah.
And I did, especially because growing up without my mom, I've only seen my dad cry at one time ever in life, which is when the day my mom passed.
Wow.
And the day we buried her. And when that happened, when I saw that from him, I didn't take it as a weakness, but I did feel like I need to be there for my dad. At 11, I'm like, I need to comfort him. I don't want to see him hurt. I was so concerned about him that I wasn't even that concerned about me at 11.
At 11 years old.
I was so concerned about my brother. My brother was devastated. And even to this day, I think he still deals with that quite a bit. So I had this thing where it's like, I just wanted to nurture a man. I just want to hold you. I want to do whatever I can to make your life better.
Yeah.
And put myself to the side. So I think that was my issue.
Yeah.
But if I knew, if I was really rooted in my word at the time, 20s and 30s, if I really understood who a man should have been to me and who I was in Christ, I would have never dealt with the foolishness that I did. Like now you cannot.
Right. Now, the Amber now wouldn't go for that.
Right. A lot of men find me intimidating, which sucks.
Don't I know it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It sucks. But what I love about it.
What do you think they're intimidated by, though?
My confidence, the way I carry myself. Someone told me recently that I carry myself like I'm taken. That's what I am.
Because we're a wife before we're a wife.
We're a wife before a wife. And
interesting.
Yes, and I belong to Jesus Christ.
Okay.
But when you are the right person and God speaks to your spirit, you'll know.
Yeah.
Oh, this is who God appointed me to. Let me go ahead and approach her and talk to her. So I don't mind people feeling intimidated.
That reminds me of that quote. What did they say? A woman's heart should be so lost in God that a man must seek Him just to find her.
Exactly. That's
a bar.
Yes.
It's
right
a
here.
That's
bar.
it.
That's it.
Right there.
That's it. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, I wish we had so much more time.
But back to your question originally, what's my relationship with church now?
Yeah.
I love my church. I go to Change Church in Duluth.
We can all get shout out to church. Okay, Change Church.
Yes, Pastor Darius Daniels. And I'm going to tell you why I love it.
Okay.
Yes, the praise and worship is awesome. The people are awesome. But it's the first time in my entire life that because when my dad pastored, I was young. So, and he still was kind of the old school pastor. But it's the first time in my entire life that I can really, truly apply the word.
He's a phenomenal teacher. Darius, boy, you be teaching. Darius is a teacher.
He's a teacher. And I have a podcast as well, and I had him on the podcast. I interviewed him, and I asked him, "See, what's the name of your church? Why is it changed?" Right. He said, "Because we want to change the way we do church, and we want you to change when you leave church."
Wow.
He wants true change. And I'm like, that is what I feel since I've been going to his church. There is true change in my life. There are quotes that he says and gives me that I literally live by every single day. So I love my church now. I hate when I miss it because sometimes I'm shooting and I can't get there. Yeah. But I absolutely love it.
I'm going to come back and visit. I pop in, sporadically. But I will say, every time I leave Change Church, I leave feeling fed.
Yes.
Every time.
Yes.
So
but I also, at the end of the day, I realize people aren't church, right? We are the church. Yeah. So even if something crazy happened at Change, it's like, listen, I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to cast a stone.
Right.
I'm here to get my word.
Right. People are flawed. Yes. They're not God. We all need grace. No matter what your position is, we all need grace. This is good. Okay, let's transition we'll come back to the entertainment talk, but got to go back to the beautiful women in ministry and even in entertainment. Why do you feel there's such a weird, not disdain, I don't even know what to stamp it with, but it's as if women of God cannot be fine, sexy, beautiful, attractive, all the things. I'm reminded of, I was serving on the lead staff here at a church back in 2021. It was a mega church. I was the executive producer. And I remember the lead pastor, we grew to be like, brother, sister. Okay. And I remember him pulling me to the side and he's saying, you speak like a Priscilla Shire, but you give off Megan Good. And I don't know if that's going to fit in this church. Wow. What do you think I did?
Okay.
Peace. Because I took that as a compliment because Megan Good is fine, Right. But I understood what he meant by it. Yeah. And I grappled with that. And I actually, I left the church and it took me maybe about 2 years to heal from that because I felt like the way that I looked or presented myself, and mind you, I'm not no, I ain't got the big booty and all, you know what I mean? I'm not that. I've never been provocative in how I dress, so I couldn't understand. It was just, I guess, about the external beauty, but it just made me feel like I don't belong because of how I look.
Child, he wanted you. I'm just playing.
He did. And that's what it came down to, the lust of his own heart. But there is this conversation, Megan Good, for example, she's always been shunned by the church because of what she looks like, not realizing that she is a woman of God through and through. Yeah. So what's your take on that?
I think that this time that we live in, it's difficult, right? Because we are empowered to walk in our beauty and to be sexy and to be all these things. But I also think that when you come into the church, there needs to be a standard. This is maybe the old school Amber talking. But I think that it's like, I'm not going to wear to the club what I wear to my 9-to-5 job.
Absolutely.
And people know that. Like, not to do that. But for some reason, they don't do that in church because everybody, so, a lot of people are trying to catch and be caught and be chosen. And I think that we need to get back to the time and day that when you go into church, you need to be dressed appropriately. Now, what does that mean? The reason why I say that, and being dressed appropriately is a matter of opinion, right? And it's perception of what you believe is appropriate and what somebody else believes is appropriate.
Right.
But what I believe is, when I walk past, is somebody staring at my behind? Are they staring at my breasts? And am I giving them a reason to stare? It's one thing if you just shape that way.
Right.
But you can have on this most tightest dress that you can have.
Right.
You have this low.
Calling for attention.
Yes. People can't focus on the word.
Right.
And not just men, women. We looking too.
Yeah.
Because, girl, you see her with this dress on. It's a distraction from the word. It's a distraction from God. And it's like, yo, are you putting yourself higher than God? You want everybody to look at you?
That's good, Amber. And
I'm not going to call no names, but there are people in the pulpits that like,
it's irresponsible.
It's irresponsible
because you are making it about you.
You are. And how are you, I really try to be careful because I don't want to judge people and I really ask God to give me the words. Yeah. But I think it just needs to be said. You don't need to be in the pulpit. You don't need to be in a leadership position. Yeah. And you don't know how to dress appropriately. Right. Men are looking at you. Yeah. If the pastor came in a wife beater and showing all his muscles, we're not paying attention to the word.
Absolutely not.
So why is it okay for you to come in with your I was at this one church one time and my friend said, oh my God, I wore that dress to the club the other day. She was talking about a leader that was in the pulpit. She had the same dress that she wore to the club the other day. And I said, it's irresponsible.
And what women don't realize is that it don't take all that.
It doesn't. Let me tell you, I get more compliments when I am covered up.
Come on.
Okay.
Talk about it. I do all that.
Right. Because they want to know what's under there.
Right. And the thing is, especially with men, let's just go ahead and go there. Oftentimes how you're dressed will tell a man what category he's going to place you in. Exactly. Not saying that we dress for men, but modesty is a thing. If you dress in, got everything, nothing left to the imagination, where do you think that man is going to put you?
I can be fully clothed and be the sexiest woman in the room.
I could walk in a trash bag.
Okay. Because why? It's about the way that you carry yourself.
Yes. Clothed in glory.
Your Godfidence.
Yes. Yes.
It is your mystique.
Yes.
It's so sexy when a woman is mysterious. It's like, who is
Leave
that?
something to the imagination.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that is why we get this stigma of you can't be sexy, because people just go too far.
Yeah.
You just going too far. If I can
much.
see the crack in your behind because
Yeah.
your split is way up your butt, and I'm in church trying to concentrate on the word,
Too much.
you're doing too much. And then, so then you start, well, why can't I be sexy and beautiful? You can. You just don't have to be revealing. And there's a difference.
Oh, this is good. Okay, I gotta ask this because we both work in entertainment, both attractive women. What has that experience been like? Because in entertainment, they don't have the same morals and values maybe that the church does. They're gonna try you. How do you navigate that? Because I know they be coming for you.
Not all the time. I think you just have to really be sure of who you are at the end of the day. And have I ever fallen? Yes, absolutely. You know, have I ever been bamboozled? For sure.
Yeah.
Right? But I think I think through those experiences you start to learn, like, okay, what did I get out of that situation?
Yeah.
And what can I do different next time? But yeah, it's difficult because people do expect you to be a certain way. Even going back to the clothes. Do I wear revealing clothes at times? Yes, I go to a party.
Time and place.
Time and place, right? But yeah, do I want to be a little sexy, show a little cleavage? For sure, I'm doing that.
Right.
But that's not an invitation for you to try me, because I'm gonna go ahead and put you in your place if you try me the wrong way.
An invitation. I love that.
Right. But yeah, I think it's difficult. I remember I had this audition one time in California. This producer said, I'm doing this movie. He was a big producer, and I think you would be great. Can you come by my office and do an audition? So I was like, okay, cool. So pull up to his office, which was this big house. I'm like, oh, this is your house. And he had an office in the house. And so he said, okay. He said, can you lift your shirt up so I can see your stomach? I just want to see. So I'm only like 20 something years old. So I'm like, okay, like this is weird. And he's like, okay, cool. And he said, well, listen, I want to get some other photos of you to send to some of the other producers. Go in the other room. There's a drawer. Go ahead and just pick an outfit out of there, and we're going to come in there and get some photos. And he had a whole setup and everything. So I'm like, cool. I don't know what's in this drawer. Yeah. I go in this drawer and it's strings.
Oh no. He tried it.
You tried it, sir. And I say, yeah, no, I'm not putting this on. Right. And he was like, well, we need to see how you look in a bikini, because in this role, and I said, yeah, well, when we're on set with 300 other people, we can talk, but I'm not about to put this on.
Intimacy coordinator and all the things, like, no.
Exactly. Wow. And he was a big producer. Wow. He was a big, he put, he put out one of the biggest black holiday movies that's in our culture. Like, it's, yes, and but I was like, I'm not doing it. And he was upset. And I said, well, thank you for the opportunity. Yeah. But I knew who I was. And I knew you weren't going to try me. Yeah. And I know at the end of the day, my integrity is more important than my success.
Come on.
My reputation is more important than... And success is important. But if you gain success and you have sold your soul to the devil, what does it mean at the end of the day? What is it to get for a man to gain the world and lose his soul? So I was like, yes, sir.
And that is the difference between those who talk the talk and walk the walk. Yes. And that's why I was like, I want people to see more of this side to you, that you are the real deal through and through.
And I'm the real deal who also makes real mistakes, too. Real mistakes. Yes. I'm not out here holier than thou. I have a whole 5-year-old son out of wedlock. Yeah. But, things happen. Life happens. But what I love about my God is that he's a forgiving God.
And there's no condemnation.
There's no condemnation. But there needs to be true repentance. I think that we...
And conviction.
I think that we take advantage of God's grace sometimes. And he knows that about us, because ultimately he's our father. It's like my son. Yeah. He take advantage of that, the fact that he's got my heart. Yeah. But ultimately, I see him really honor his mom. Yeah. Like, he said something to me yesterday, and he was just like, it was something little that he did, and it was a long time ago. He says, Mommy, I'm so sorry. And I said, why? And he said, I can't remember what it was, for that thing I did. And I said, Carol, that was 2 weeks ago, but thank you for apologizing. But he was literally thinking about it and truly remorseful. And it's like, I'm not going to cast my baby to hell.
I know that's
You know what I'm saying? So us having a child really helped me put in perspective how God thinks about me.
Yeah.
If I'm his daughter, he loves me unconditionally.
Yes.
And he's not trying to see me just, lose my way. And or he wouldn't, it's nothing that I can do that would separate me from his love. And that's the thing I think about my son. There's nothing he can do that I'm going to be like, you're not my child. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think we do take advantage of God's grace. And I think we need to check ourselves. Because when we do that, we're ultimately hurting ourselves.
And not forget that sometimes God will allow us to bump our heads to get the message through. Yeah. Amber, we could talk about this all day. I mean, the time went by so fast, so we have to go ahead and conclude. So I like to do something called an elevator sermon. Oftentimes, we think about an elevator pitch. We will stop somebody in their tracks to pitch our ideas, our businesses. But how often do we stop to pitch an encouraging or inspirational word? Sometimes we are the only face of Jesus. So I'm going to have you give us an elevator sermon, whatever's on your heart. I'm going to have you give it right to the camera to close us out.
I was talking about my pastor always giving us a word that is applicable and that you can just take with you. And this word that he gave, I'm going to repeat it because it has just been ingrained in my spirit over the last week or so. But he said that if you're serious about your destiny, you need to be serious about your decisions. And I thought about the decisions that I've made over my life and where they have brought me, good or bad. There's always a consequence to every decision that you make. It's always going to lead to a certain path and a certain place in your life. And when he gave me that word, everything I have done this week, I have said, how is this impacting my destiny? Whether it was a piece of food I put in my mouth, whether it was a conversation that was a little too gossipy, or a thought that was toxic, or a thought that was hurtful, or something that I said. And I said, how is this impacting my destiny? So I would just encourage you, if you are looking at your life and you're saying, how did I get here? I want more. I want to do better. I want better for myself. To start really evaluating your decisions and asking yourself, are they aligning with the Word of God? And if they are, keep going, baby. If they aren't, it's okay. Make some changes and keep going. But yes, I encourage you to really, really evaluate your decisions because they ultimately determine your destiny.
Amen.
Yes.
Let's go, Pastor Amber. That was beautiful. Amazing. Well, y'all, we come to the end of the episode. I feel like we could have gone another hour, but thank y'all for tuning in to yet another episode of Faith and Fame. Make sure you tap in with us, hit the like button, subscribe, all the things, and we'll be back next week. Peace.